I don't want to get you scared or anything, but did you know you could be leaving money on the table during salary negotiation? Hello, product managers, and welcome aboard to the orange floor, the product league floor, where we help you to become the best product managers you can be. Today, it's all about salary negotiation with 3 product league mentors. Join me on this stage to review actual materials that have to do with salary negotiation and provide you with all the tools, tips, tricks, and answers that you need in order to go into your next salary negotiation in a better way. Thank you for joining me. My name is Maria Cassis. I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, and I am so excited and happy to have you here with us today. Now, I really want to get to know you better. So please go ahead and in the chat, wherever it is that you watch us right now, let us know who you are, where you're from, and what is your biggest question, wonder, or just, issue or challenge when it comes to negotiating your salary as a product manager. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers in 30 countries around the world. We are here to support you in becoming the best product manager you can be. And this is exactly what we're going to do today by helping you better negotiate your next salary. I hope that you're ready. We're starting right now with meeting our speakers for today. And now let's start with the first one. Get ready to learn from Ashley DeGianelli, lead product manager at Meetup and Product League mentor. What's up?
Hi, it's been a few weeks.
A few weeks only, but happy to have you back. Super excited to have you back. Now, for those of you that already know Ashley from the previous webinar she spent with us on this stage, you know that one of the reasons we're calling you back time and time again is because you have a unique perspective about the product management job domain that spend a lot of time and attention to the things that are not transactional. That means that I count on you, Ashley, today. I'm just saying that I count on you to bring on your perspective that salary negotiation is not just about money. Now, am I right with the direction that I think that you're going to take us on today?
Absolutely. There's so much more you can negotiate for that's not just dollars in your paycheck. And I think quite a few of them get overlooked. So I'm excited to be joining this conversation today.
And we're excited to have you back. Now, tell me, are you excited to meet Martine, the other speaker / panelist joining us today?
I'm so excited to get to learn from the other speakers today and see what they have to say.
Fantastic. So let's meet Martine. I have no idea what happened here, so I'm just going to do that with the audio saying, this is Martine Sabag, VP Product of Management at CurveTech AI. Did I remember correctly?
Correctly, yeah.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
And a veteran Product League mentor.
Yeah,
That's the most important title.
Yeah, it's my 9th batch, I think. Amazing. So yeah, very proud of it. Yeah.
And very proud to have you back with us today. Thank you for rolling with us. And it's amazing to have you here with us because it has been a while since you've been here. And the last time you've been here, I don't know if you remember, what we reviewed was actually titles in organizations of product management.
Right.
So I think it just makes sense, having you here today. First, we talked about the title. Now we are going to talk about the salary. And I think that it's somewhat of contrast to Ashley. I have the notion that you're going to talk a lot about money today, which I love.
Yeah, yes, I am. And definitely the title is something you can negotiate about, which is not monetary necessarily, but yeah.
So it's going to be very juicy, very interesting. And what do you say? Shall we meet Liat?
Sure.
Let's bring her on. And now it's time to introduce Liat Mendelsohn Honderdoors, Director of Product Management at Nobel and Product League mentor. Hello. What's up?
Hey, Maria. I'm good. How are you?
Happy to have you back with us. How have you been?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me again to a webinar.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. Now, you just said again, because this is not your first rodeo with us on this stage. Interestingly enough, previously it was a review of LinkedIn profiles. So,
Correct.
just as with Martin, this is it all makes sense. It's like the right people, the right mentors on the right stage, being here today to discuss salary negotiation with us. And I know that you're going to provide us with some great insights, because we just spoke then about everything that candidates should do and should not do on their LinkedIn profiles. And today it's just like, from there we're now going to talk about, you nailed your LinkedIn profile, you nailed the interview, you got to have the seat in the negotiation table. Now make it work for you. So I'm super excited to have you here with us. And I think it's time to bring Ashley back and Martine and to have this product party started. Very excited to have you here with us. And I'm very excited to know who is joining us in the audience, all the leaguers. So as I said previously, please go ahead, comment, let us know your questions, your problems, your challenges. You've got 3 product league mentors and myself to answer all your questions about salary negotiation. And let's be honest, when was the last time you spent an hour thinking, learning, researching about maximizing your salary? So it's about time for you guys, everyone in the audience, to bring us all your questions, big and small. We are here to answer. Now, this is a review session where we are going to review artifacts together. But before we do that, we want to provide the audience with the commandments, with the 10 things that we think they have to keep in mind and follow as the guidelines for salary negotiation, what we like to call as the 10 commandments of salary negotiation for product managers. We are going to provide you with 10, and I'm going to provide you with one of my own, and this is it. I want everyone in the audience to focus on the long-term relationship and make sure that you build rapport. Now, here is why. Not always the negotiation will end with you actually receiving the job opportunity. And you want to make sure that you are maximizing your opportunity for having a successful second time opportunity with the person you are now negotiation with, maybe in a different company, maybe under a different opportunity, maybe in a year or two, and not today. You can never know what is going to be the ending, how this negotiation is going to end. So make sure that you know your value, you build the right rapport, a good rapport between you and the other person you're negotiating with, and don't think just about today. Focus on the long term. This was my commandment. I can't wait to learn what you guys are going to share with us. Ashley, we're starting with you. Are you ready to share your commandments?
I'm ready.
Let's do
that. Okay, so the first one is, don't assume your bonus or any kind of like discretionary variable component as part of your negotiation. You can absolutely flex on those things, but depending on the company and what kind of level you're at, sometimes you could do an amazing job and your bonus won't be fully funded. So you don't ever want to rely on your bonus as a guaranteed source of income. So I personally prefer not to negotiate on it. If it's a standard, you get a certain percentage or we give a certain amount. Sometimes it's an easy thing to get them to flex on, but that's because companies know that they don't always pay out bonuses. And so before you do that, you might want to consider how often out of the last, 4 quarters or 2 years, depending on how the bonuses are done, have they actually paid out 100% of bonus to staff. So you definitely want to take that into account.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And this leads us to the next commandment you're going to be sharing with us.
Yeah, you want to be confident about your minimum required salary. So when you're starting the conversation, let's be honest, it's rare these days to have an initial conversation with a recruiter at a company and have them not ask for your salary expectations. You want to do your research in advance. So if I'm talking to a small scale startup, my salary number that I give them might be very different than if I was talking to a much larger organization. So you want to adjust salary for the actual industry and company size that you're talking to. And there's lots of public information available. So please do your research and don't just throw out whatever you happen to be making right now. Really consider multiple factors when you're sort of talking about that initial take, and always see if you can get the salary band first.
I love that. I love that. And I think that the element I love about this commitment that you mentioned is that you should know what works for you and works not, right? You should know what is the minimum that is required for you, because it's not just about the industry, because it may be that in a certain domain, the expectations or what the domain can afford or provide you with is actually lower than what you wanted, and you need, or what you need. And you need to make sure that you know your numbers and not just, what is being provided in the domain. So I love that.
All right. And last, I like to negotiate on things that are outside of money too. So negotiating on money is great. But sometimes, right, there might be a real mismatch in your experience level and the company, but you really love the role. There's other things you can negotiate on. You can negotiate on vacation. You can negotiate on things like PTO, on separate hours, right? Maybe you require a bit more flexibility. And so maybe you want to change your hours and see if you can get that negotiated and part of your offer agreement. Those are all things to consider and to play with. And a lot of companies are more and more flexible now that we have the benefit of so much technology to help us. So when you're looking, look at the whole picture is my recommendation. Don't just take the salary number and the set number of hours. A lot of times there's wiggle room to adjust for you.
Love that. Love that. Thank you very much. And I think this is, one of the crucial aspects to understand that you can negotiate on so many things. Martin, I see your smile, letting me know that you agree with Ashley's
Definitely.
thoughts here. Do you have anything to add on this matter?
Yeah, actually, the way I would recommend to do the negotiation is actually to do it like we say it in Israel, in salami way, right? So cutting salami. So you start with the big thing, which is the salary, and then you say, okay, what about the health insurance, especially in the US, right? So what about the health insurance and the dental insurance, and what about cars, company car, or travel expenses, and so you start slicing it in a way that you basically break it to different negotiations, knowing, as Ashley said, knowing your numbers in advance in each one of them, so you know what your minimum vacation days that you're willing to accept, which is fine, but try to negotiate on that as well. And especially if they try to lower your ball on one of the things, try to gain on the other.
Absolutely. Loving that. Liat, we miss you here. We want to know your 3 commandments, following up the great 3 commandments that mentioned by Ashley. Thank you very much, Ashley. So what do you have to share with us? Shall we start?
Yeah, let's do it. So what I always say when you come to negotiation is come prepared. Know what is out there. As Ashley said, there is a lot of public information from Glassdoor, from Indeed, from other websites, that it's all there. But also ask friends, ask people that used to work there, ask people that do work there already, ask people you know, ask people you don't know. Research. It also shows that you're very serious in how much you want to work there or how much you prepared for this interview.
And
So,
how serious you are with your product management skills, because
correct.
let's say that we have to research a lot on the job.
Right. So it's part of showing what you can do and coming prepared. This is the first thing that I recommend.
Absolutely. Leading us to the second.
So salary range that we already also mentioned before, especially in big companies, there is salary range and they know already what are the boundaries of salary that they can offer you. Why not asking about it, and even before you say your salary expectation, if possible, and know if you're in the right range or what's the maximum you can expect. It would help the negotiation. Not always it's possible, but if you can, then why not?
Loving that.
Can I add a point there?
Of course, but I think that I know what is the point that you are going to mention, and this is you are going to dive deeper into it in just a minute. Or am I wrong?
I just wanted to say that in some
Okay.
countries it's mandated by law for the recruiter to publish the salary range for that specific job.
Very
In
interesting.
Israel, unfortunately, it's not. But
Very, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Actually, I think this is some information that our audience can use for the better. So thank you so much. Liat, we're back with you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Okay. So the way I look at it, negotiation is not just having the company offering you what they can. You also have part of it, and you also need to feel that you got what you want, or at least partly what you want. So it should be some kind of win-win, not 100% win to each side. But it's not like you have to accept everything that you're being offered. You can also ask for things or negotiate the terms. So we were discussing salary and other benefits that we can talk about later on. It's not always accept what you're offered. You can talk about everything, ask, and hopefully you also get what you expect, or at least willing to compromise on things in your own boundaries. So look at it as a win-win situation. That's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as you're just about to start a relationship with these people, right? So if everything going smoothly and neither of the parties involved in the negotiation is going to decline the offer, you're just about to start a relationship with this organization. So make sure that you started on the right foot, as you just mentioned, and a win-win attitude is the great mind to go into negotiating. Thank you so much, Liat, for that. And I can share with you that we already received some really great questions from the audience. Keep them coming. We're going to spend some time Q&A, all your questions, and giving you all the answers you need. Give us all the juice, all the questions, all the wonders that you have about salary negotiation. Martin, are you ready?
yes, I am.
Let's dive in.
Yeah. So never put yourself in a position where the other side, whatever you're negotiating, could be a salary and it could be your kids going to bed on time, that they can say just no. Okay, so the idea is to leave it in an open way, in a way basically that you're transferring your problem to them. Okay, so never say, oh, this is my range, and if it's not met, I'm not accepting it. Okay, so always try to put it in a way that it's now their job to try and answer what you need.
Can you please give us an example? Because I think this is a very interesting
Sure.
one to share with the audience.
So I can give an example from my own personal experience. I've been offered a position which was very, very far from home, so it needed a long commute every day. And so I knew that I would need either a company car or my personal car expenses would go up. So I started with the negotiating the base salary. And then I said, okay, what about the company car or some kind of expenses? And they said, we don't have one. Like you can get a leasing car, but it would be on your. And then I said, okay, but how can you expect me to pay for that and then basically get lower salary than what I'm getting today? I'm not to blame that you're that far, right? And so basically, I shared my problem with their offer, and now they went to do homework and try to come up with a solution, and they came. So eventually, they raised the salary in order to compensate for my expenses.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this story and commitment with us. Moving on to your next commitment.
Yeah, so this is a tricky one because most candidates feel obliged to say the expectation, and I faced that myself in the past, so I totally understand that. I think Dan also asked that in the comments, and so um, try in whatever trick you have in your sleeve to try and deflect that question to them. Okay, try them to make the first offer, the first number, to throw the first number possible, and the way and the way there are several ways to do it, right? For example, you can say, yeah, I know the conditions in the market has changed. I don't know how much I'm valued really at the moment. So it would be great if you can share your salary range, so it would give me a reference. Or even only if you feel that you're cornered with this question and you have to give a number, always give a number that doesn't reflect yourself. So, for example, you could say something like, I've researched a similar job, or I have a friend who does a similar job in a similar company, size, industry, what's not, and I know they're getting a number. Now, what this does is that if they say, oh no, it's too high, then you say, okay, then what's your offer? It doesn't I didn't say that this is what I want, but they hear that. So I anchor their number, and if they say, okay, then it's not even a final number. You can negotiate on that as well. So by putting a number on someone else, it doesn't oblige you, but it's a good starting point.
May I challenge you a little bit here?
Sure.
So the business of negotiation and as a whole, not just salary negotiation, is a very tricky business, and the psychology behind it is very interesting, and a very known paradigm in that is that you actually should use number first in order to anchor a number in the mind of the other person or other party that is now involved in negotiation with you. So what I wonder about is, what is your motivation in saying, actually, I don't want to put a number, I want you guys to give a number first? So what is the
That's
motivation there?
So yes, anchoring, but only at the end. I mean, and the reason is, let's say you come up with you did the investigation and you come up with a range, and usually it's a range, right? So usually, let's say it's between I don't know, whatever, 20 to 30. Okay. So and you say, I'm willing to accept 20, and whatever I'm getting above that, it's all, first of all, it's feasible, and second, I will accept it. If you say 20 to 30, I'm expecting 20 to 30, which is the anchoring. What they heard is 20.
Can I
Right?
challenge you further here?
Hold on. Or what if they come up and say, listen, our range is between 25 to 30. Then your starting point is 25, which, so you don't give a number, because if they surprise you with a higher number than you would have asked, then great. What do I have to lose by giving them the first to say? And it's in any negotiation, when you buy a car, when you buy a house, it doesn't matter. Let the other side give the first number. What you need to insist on, we can discuss in a different point afterwards, is the timing. So you set the time. You forced it to say, hey, I need to give an answer by next week. So
Can I challenge you further? Sure. It is going to be a very juicy webinar today.
Bring it on.
I love your point of view here. The reason I'm challenging you is not because I think you are wrong, but because I think, or because I don't think there is right or wrong, if to actually admit the situation here, because it's so tricky. It is indeed a tricky business negotiation. What I disagree with is the idea that you should submit a range. This is something that I can never understand why people do, because if you know your worth or if you know your needs, this is not a range, because of course the other person is going to hear or read, depends on
either the top or the bottom.
Going to use the lower number, of course.
Correct.
So
correct.
I don't understand the assumption of using a range, and this is maybe the reason why the anchoring version is different between our point of views.
So you still anchor even when you give a range, because in this case you're giving the lower number of the range as an anchor. And
that's not correct. That's an assumption. You can say that my range is 20 to 30. I will go with your example, even though the difference here is 50%, which is like, crazy, but I will go with that. Your assumption is that I will set a 20. My assumption is that I will set a 30.
No, what I'm saying is when you say a range, you understand that what the other party heard is the lower number. Okay, so when I say
everyone use the range,
I'll explain. The reason is, first of all, you want to say that you are flexible on some things. You're not, and if I'm not getting the 30, I'm out of the door. No, you're saying I have a range. Now, if they say 20, okay, let's negotiate on the other thing, like Ashley would probably explain later. So it gives you room and leverage to negotiate on the other things. Because if you say 30 and they give you 30, that's it. You cannot negotiate on anything because you got what you asked.
Yeah.
Why are you asking more things now? It looks like you're trying to extort that thing, So in my opinion, giving the range gives the other side the perception that they actually lowered you from the 30 to the 21, 22, whatever, and now it gives you leverage to negotiate on other things.
The reason
another way to
I will give you the virtual mic, don't worry, but I want to just make a point here. The reason why I love today's topic is this exactly. There are so many ways to approach salary negotiation. And Martin, although I love the way you came up with the reasoning behind range, I'm still standing with my defending point of don't give a range, know your worth, know what you need.
I usually
and it's fantastic. This is exactly why we met here today, right? For these kind of discussions.
Yeah.
So Maria, usually it goes it's a process. So the way it works is you start with a range, then you give a number which is kind of rounded, okay, 35, okay, and then when
I'm not agreeing with you.
Hold on.
Again, I'm not agreeing with you.
Fine. And then the last, when you really want to push it and you need to lower yourself in order to get it, because you understand you're not going to get it. And we can discuss about how do you know even that you're going to get it or not, but that's a different topic. You then give a very specific number, even if it's totally made up, but you give it like, listen, I cannot go below $34,722. Okay, that kind of specific, okay, because it gives the perception to the other side that you did your own homework and you did your calculations, and you know that below that there is no way you're going to accept it, even if it's totally made up.
Exactly right. This is why I say open with this number. I'm not saying that we need to go
but then you're stuck. You cannot negotiate.
34 is very different than saying 35, because 34 is like, I had my research, I've done my homework knowing what should be offered to me or stuff like that. But I love the fact that we can actually challenge each other with these assumptions, because this is a very tricky business, a very interesting business. This is why we got to meet here today. Liat, go ahead, tell us everything.
Yeah, I wanted to add, I agree with Martin that we need to show flexibility. It's part of the negotiation. We can also say, I expect around 30, and then you want 30, but you're flexible. So you get your highest range or decide on a number that you can live with and say around, and then it starts the negotiation. Then you don't need to give a range. That indeed, I agree. The employer will go with the lower bound.
Yeah, makes sense. Love that. I love this discussion. And now it's time for the 10th commandment. Martin, are you ready to be back?
Sure. So yes, this is actually we touched this a bit with the first commandment that I was talking about with the no, is to ask what's called calibrated questions with how questions. Instead of saying something like I cannot accept this offer, or this is too low for me, or something like that, ask how questions which will reflect, again, deflect that your problem back to their court, if you like. So for example, in my case, what I asked is, how can I accept an offer which is basically paying or giving me or leaving me net money in my pocket lower than what I'm getting today? And that's it. And then I stop. I didn't say no. I just say, how can I live with that? How can I put so many mileage on my car, driving so far every day? It's going to increase my expenses on the car maintenance, and this leaves them the room to try and find sometimes very, very creative solutions. Like say, okay, we cannot provide you with that, but we can help you with something else. Okay.
Loving that.
Yeah,
loving the whole approach of making a discussion. Yes, Ashley.
I was just gonna say I love Martine's point here. It's so smart. Years ago, I had an offer for a company that was a pretty large commute for me, and I had just bought an apartment, so I was really not interested in moving. And because I was like hemming and hawing about whether or not this was really something I could commit to doing, it would have been like a 90-minute commute each way in like rush hour traffic in New York. So less than ideal. They actually offered to increase my salary to cover the cost of not only, driving and wear and tear on my car, but also that time commuting. So they basically figured out how to pay me for my commute. I didn't end up taking it just because it was such a huge difference. But that was the first time I really saw a company get really flexible, because I just told them what my concern was and that it wasn't realistic for me to move having just bought something like 6 months before. So, I think if you're open about, where your concern is, it does give the company the ability to negotiate with you, like on the same side as you, basically, and understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, don't compete with them, but try to make a solution that works for everyone. I love this approach. Thank you very much, Ashley, for sharing your personal story, and Martina for sharing your 3 commandments. Now it's review time. Guys, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
As a very supportive yes. We are starting with you, Ashley. This is a very interesting artifact that is a negotiation template that was created by company AHA. And now we're going to hear everything that you're going to share with us about this one. It's a pretty long sheet. It's a 1-file document. And it, of course, this one, as everything else that we're going to be sharing today, is going to be shared in the details of the webinar, wherever it is that you watch us right now. So don't get scared. You don't need to find this online. We're going to share this with you, everyone in the audience. And now just focus on Ashley and her wise words.
Yeah, so this template I would say is really great, especially if you're trying to figure out what that range is, what your numbers are. I think this is a great worksheet to sort of go through and sort of fill in for yourself, and then like provide the information. So if you scroll down a bit, you'll see that it says things like, I'm good with a consistent schedule, I want a flexible schedule. It's sort of like coaching you through some of those things that have come up for each of us. And like, you want to do your research, you want to look at your company and competitors and see like what they're paying. The reason being, if it's a direct competitor, they're in the same industry, they might be variables on size, so you might want to correct for that. And you want to think through on the company side what it is that they're offering. So when there's information available on Glassdoor, you can easily fill in things like this around years of experience, base salaries. Something I've been coaching people on in this market is companies are trying really hard right now to pay people what they paid them 8 years ago. Don't accept that. If you have 8 years of experience, you should not be getting paid what you would have made with 3 years of experience 8 years ago. Inflation has been really unkind in most countries for the last few years. You don't want to put yourself in a hole where you finally finish your job hunt, you get a role, you're excited about the role, and then every time you get your paycheck, you feel deflated. The reality is none of us work for free. We have responsibilities. And so part of your responsibility to yourself is make sure you're getting paid something that feels good. I don't think money is the only component that matters. That's my perspective. But it is important, and you don't want to be in a place where you get something that's exactly what you made last year, because the reality is, one, how much you're going to make moving forward is so dependent on that starting base salary with a company. Two, you're at best, if you get promoted, might get a 10% raise, right? So that starting base salary is critical to your growth and your salary growth without you having to move from the organization. And then third, you want to think about the things that really matter. So in the US, it's things like health insurance, right? You could have a much higher salary, but if you're also paying 3 times as much for your health insurance, you're actually not seeing that money, right? Like it's there, but you're not seeing it in your paycheck. So you really want to be considerate. I do wish companies would release benefit packages and have everything fully available before you're at the final stage, but a lot of times they don't. So make sure that you review everything dependent on your country and sort of what general benefits are. So you want to look holistically. But I think this is a great artifact to go through. I didn't really see anything where I'm like, why would it ask that? It's sort of just guiding you through how to think through coming up with your numbers and how to put it forward to someone else. So I thought it was really helpful to use. Definitely something I'll refer people to myself going forward.
I love it. I love it when we find materials or artifacts that we can provide to our community, either if we created them at Product Link or not, that are helpful. So I'm so happy to hear from you that this one got your approval and should be shared with the whole product management community. Loving that. Thank you so much, Ashley. And now we are moving to you, Martine, with a book to be reviewed. This one is called Getting to Yes, Negotiating Agreement Without Giving In. Now, let us all know, what do you think about this book?
So, in general, I don't really agree with the whole philosophy behind getting yes anyway in any negotiation in general, not only for salaries, because I believe that a bad deal or no deal is better than bad deal. So it's not always getting yes is the ultimate goal. Just getting the right yes, the right the right deal that you need, especially for salary and position and role and all the other benefits. And so, but there are some points that I do agree in the book. For example, we discussed about it earlier in striving into a win-win situation. In order to, you need to understand what type of negotiator you have on the other side. Okay, and usually I'm referring to the hiring manager and not to the HR, which tend to be more empathetic, and more kind of soft in their approach, because at this time they're evaluating you, and they're not a subject matter expert. And the tough negotiator would be usually the hiring manager. And then you need to try and understand what type of person is in front of you. And I'm not sure in other cultures necessarily, but in Israel it's very, very common that you will see either kind of a soft negotiator, that it's more about making things happen. Okay, let's see how we can make it happen. We cannot pay you this, but let's see if we can find you something else. And then there is the hard negotiator. Okay, and the hard negotiator is all about, I'm winning and you're losing. Okay, so there's no really a win-win. I'm here to hire you at the best terms to me, not necessarily to you. Okay, I'm doing you a favor that I'm even giving you that offer. So you need to understand who's in front of you, and you need to adjust in order to address that kind of personality in front of you. You're negotiating because you cannot choose who to negotiate with. So that's the persona, and you need to act accordingly. And then
everything in life is product management. Here we've got personas as well.
Exactly. And then there is a third way. So there is as I said, the soft and the hard, and they're talking about also a third way. And try again taking, especially when you're negotiating with a hard negotiator, and try to deflect it and talk about the merits, and talk about the what's the value and the role itself, and deflect it from between. It's not about me and you. Okay, we're here to make this happen, to help the company. So by taking and the discussion between, I'm asking this and you're offering that, but how can I accept this? And I need this. It's not about us. It's about how we can help the company accomplish what they need by me filling that role. So this is something I liked about it and in the book. But as I said earlier, in general, their attitude is getting to yes. I don't agree in any situation. Just when it's right for you.
That's a really good point. Be ready to decline the offer if it doesn't work for you. Know your worth. Yeah, exactly. Super important thing. Thank you so much. Liat, the next material is going to be reviewed by you. This is a very interesting one because this is a Quora post answer about the question of how should I negotiate salary while switching jobs. This one is on board of product management. So everything that we are going to see is within the product management domain, and the virtual stage is yours.
Yeah, so I'll just summarize it in 2 sentences so everybody would know what we're talking about. There is a use case here of someone that excelled the technical parts of the interview, and now he or she is coming to the salary negotiations, and they're asking for a certain range that is obviously like 40 to 50% higher than what they currently earn, and they're saying what they currently earn. And while the interviewer is asking them, why do you think we can pay you that much? They are saying, we investigated the company, and I heard from colleagues that it's a great company to work in, and it's really something I want, and this is what I expect. And the end of this short use case is that they got the job. Not a lot of more details, but the idea is here, if we look at this use case as, let's say, it's something real, the good things that work is that come prepared, like we discussed before. You know what the salary is. You did your investigation. You impressed them. Be confident of your capabilities and what you have, and what you can offer them. Okay, win-win. I offer you my capabilities. You pay me as much as I want. So impress them, be confident, come prepared. It's good for any negotiation, for anything you do in life. But what is a bit tricky here, or doesn't work well in my mind, first of all, you never say how much you currently earn. This puts you, especially if it's much lower than what you expect, puts you in a very low position. And then, yes, they can ask you, why should we pay you that much? That's one thing. They are also offering to threaten them. I have other options. I don't believe in that. I mean, if you're asked, say in general, yeah, I'm being interviewed in a few other places, I never put this as something like to say as something
You don't want
initiated
to
by
play
me.
too hard to get, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, the market is free. You can do whatever you want. You didn't sign anything. You can be interviewed by other companies. You can be in other processes. It's fine, but it's not a threat, or not say, if we don't progress, then I have other things. It doesn't work well in my mind. And it's also a bit of a cliche. Yeah, I have other opportunities. So if you don't give me what I want, I go away. So this is it. In general, it's a good use case because you show a lot of motivation here and a lot of confidence, which is very important for negotiation. So it can inspire some people that are either not so sure about what they can get. So always aim high, but be realistic and be prepared.
Very interesting.
Can
You should jump in and
Yeah.
say whatever you think. And I like this specific question here, because I think that many product managers can actually relate to this one. Like I passed the technical round, I passed the HR round. Now I got to talk about this. How am I doing that? So thank you very much, Liat, for sharing your do's and don'ts with us. And yes, Martin, please share your wisdom with us.
I totally agree with Liat in regards to playing poker here with your negotiator and saying I have other options, especially if you don't. Okay, if you do, then fine, you can use it. I mean, it's fair play. You say, listen, how can I accept, again, the how questions? How can I accept this offer when I'm getting a better offer from this? I love this company. I love your product, but I'm getting a better offer somewhere else. But then you need to be really prepared to get a no, and then
Walk away.
Exactly, because if you just threaten, you'll be left with nothing. So this is the thing about using. And another thing that I think Liat was referring in using this is that this is your first impression as a company. And now what will happen in the next time? You're not going to get something you want. I mean, you're going to threaten me that you're going to leave. I don't want an employee like this, or a coworker in my team that I will always feel that he can threaten me. I want someone that will cooperate with me. We are both in the same boat, as we say, and not someone I need to work against or be threatened by or frightened by. So
I love this anecdote you share with us. That again, it's about the long term, and it's about building a rapport. As I said earlier, that it's not just about this exact conversation. You're actually you're kind of a relationship. You're building a relationship with the other person. So this is great. Thank you so much. And we're actually staying with you because we have you, Martin, to share your thoughts about a very interesting artifact with us. And this one is a negotiation how-to article. Let's scroll a little bit. Tell us your thought here.
yeah, so The
Yeah, go ahead.
article is very thorough, so I would really recommend people to read it. It has a very good points. Again, for example, usually the first interaction with a company would be with a recruiter or a talent acquisition specialist or someone like that. What they are looking for is not to, they are not subject matter experts. You have to remember that. They know about the role enough just to make sure what you said on your LinkedIn or your CV is actually who you are. So that's what they're looking for. They're very, very good listeners. So you need to be aware that they will try to make you talk more than what they are going to share, and you need to try and reverse that as much as you can, because you might reveal too much at that point, and it's not what you want. What you want is to get to the higher manager as quick as possible. So you want to say enough to interest them, and to say, oh, that's an interesting person, culture-wise, experience-wise, knowledge-wise, personality-wise, what's not, and I'm going to pass him to the next one. Mind you, today, in today's economic, for each position, there are on average of 250 applicants. Out of the 250 applicants, only 4 to 6% will pass to the hiring manager. So it's really, really tough. And if you got that call from the recruiter, try to pass that. The second point I like there, and we talked about it, is that we need to let them try and give the first number and not you. They also say that you should never reveal how much you're getting today, and this is also was asked on the comments by Dan. And I think I personally used it sometimes in the past. So this was an anchor for me. I mean, I wanted, I thought it was a good start. It was for me, and I said, okay, this is what I'm getting. I'm looking for to get a better offer, especially um, when I was kind of approached by recruiters, and it wasn't me looking for a job. So I said, yeah, this is what I'm getting today. You have a better offer, then great. Otherwise, I'm happy where I am. So it's not it might be a bit different when you're sending your CV. And mind you, Dan, that in some countries it's prohibited by law that to ask you to reveal how much you're getting, and especially if, like Ashley said earlier, if you started low, revealing that will only put that as an anchor, and you don't want to get there. But on the other hand, I totally understand the pressure of asking you how much you're getting today, and you need to say, I don't want to tell you. Like, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough position to be in.
I think
Absolutely.
so generally, I think it might be state to state dependent here in the US, but it's heavily frowned upon. And so my recommendation is to remember your current salary and current role are likely different in several ways. And so when you're negotiating a role, it should be specific to that role, that company, that industry. And so your current salary has no real basis. If I work for a private sector company that's really profitable, I'm going to make more money than someone who does a similar job at a nonprofit. That's just, the industries are different. And so my recommendation is never share your current salary. And if you're asked, know your local laws and just say, I cannot share that with you. What I can do is share a range that I'm open to. I can share, a target that I have that's negotiable, and you can sort of redirect the conversation. But it's frankly, to it's completely inappropriate. Recruiters should stop doing it, full stop. But until we get there, don't feel pressured to throw a number out there that might really hamper your ability to negotiate later.
And know your rights. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashley. And of course, thank you so much, Martin. And Liat, we are back with you to review another super interesting, if I may say, artifact. This one is a tool, a salary calculator provided by Glassdoor, where everyone can just choose the current or desired job title, the location, where they currently work, who is the employer, or who is the desired employer of theirs, and to calculate a salary. And you went one step further and you created a specific example for us to review and to share today. This one is at Google, and the stage is yours. Let us know everything that you think about that.
Okay, so what we see here is a tool. Is something that will help you get some insight in high level into what is the salary range in a specific company. And here I picked a small company, Google, product manager. And it of course relates to any role, not just product managers. But when I come to negotiation and we said come prepared, I want to first understand what is there. And this tool is based on actual people that actually reported their salaries. So it gives me, let's say, quite accurate ranges. That's the pro about this. It gives me a starting point, okay? And this is how you should look at it. It's a starting point. It provides not only the salary range, as we said, there are other benefits. So if we scroll down, there are other things that people reported on, okay, like days off or allowances or options or other things that you may be able to use while you negotiate and not be fixed on a certain number and that's it. As we said, there are other components to the salary. And also here, there is a community. So you can consult about salaries. They check with you if that's actually what you expected or what you heard about this, if this number is actually accurate. So it's a very useful tool. I use it also when I investigate or research on companies when I'm being interviewed. But of course, like every tool, it has pros and cons. The cons here, it's based on people reporting their salaries. So it's not all the people in Google reporting their salaries. It's only the people that wanted to report and were willing to report it. They are here. So it's not 100% accurate. As you can see, the range is wide. It can also be wider, right? We heard about the example of 90 to 900 that Martin mentioned before. Yeah, so it can be 90 to 900, and then there is not really something you can do about that. But it can help you get at least some kind of sense what is the salary range for this company, for this location, for this role. Now, if you are a senior, okay, my advice is always try to aim higher than this range. This range is some kind of average. So maybe try to take 20% more than the highest edge of the range and focus on that and try to get that as a negotiation. And the main thing here, it's a starting point. So it doesn't replace additional research. It doesn't replace you going to people that either you know or you don't know in LinkedIn or friends or others and asking them questions. Not always these people will tell you their salaries, especially if you're not from Israel. But if you are in Israel, they will. And still, it's worth trying, or at least they will tell you a range that can be, okay, this range makes sense. What I saw in Glassdoor makes sense. or it doesn't make sense and I should target another number. But it gives you something instead of coming unprepared. It gives you a good starting point, and this is what I like about this.
Very nice. And also worth mentioning that we don't know the number of people that actually submitted their salaries to Glassdoor. So we don't even know, both on the idea of the statistics, we don't know if this is actually something that we can rely on, but especially when we're talking about smaller companies than Google, like if you're talking about, like a middle range or even a small range startup, you don't know the number of people that submitted their salaries. So you don't know, you, as you said, you can count on this as a starting point for you to have a gauge of like understanding what is it that you are going to ask them for, but you can't be 100% depend on that, and you should do your research. So I completely agree with you, Liat. Very, very smart things you shared with us today. And with somewhat of like the same idea in mind, we are now going to talk about a different material, a very interesting one with you, Ashley, because now it's about the product management salary report. Yes, there is a product management salary report out there, and it's a very, very long one. And I'm sure you'll have a lot to share with us. So go ahead.
So this is a pretty significant document. It's 69 pages, I think, total. But it was a global report that was done to help with benchmarking. There were like three main takeaways I have from this. The first was knowing the market rate and factors that will determine a reasonable salary. So that's really different depending on company size, industry, years of experience for the individual, and also like titles. So, there's a huge salary differentiator between a product manager and a VP of product. Obviously, there's a lot of different experiences there and expectations. Two, the other really significant thing that came through the study is that there's a pretty large gender pay gap in product. So on average, it says male senior product managers were earning over $30,000 more per year than female counterparts in similar roles. So for the gentlemen on the call, be a good ally. Tell the women you work with what you're making. Help them negotiate with the company. Most countries, I can't speak for all, I'll speak for the US. In the US, it is illegal, even though companies try to put it in their handbooks all the time, it is illegal to prevent you from discussing your pay. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to penalize you for it. And so part of what happens is, we're uncomfortable talking about money with each other. But the reality is that if I have no idea that a male counterpart is making that's significant, $30,000 a year more than I am, I don't even know where to start, right? And so that's a big thing. That's why there's been a big move to have pay transparency within organizations. Some organizations take it a step further. They have pay transparency, period. Like salaries are on their website. They're very clear about what's expected. And
I think everyone in the audience should now comment with, like or heart or clapping hands emoji, just for everyone and the algorithm to know that we support this initiative of decreasing the gender gap between salaries in our industry. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if I can just share like a little personal story for me. My first product role, I had no idea what to ask for in salary. So I came in pretty low. Thankfully, I had a wonderful HR person who told me to do some investigation with the first number I gave her. She didn't tell me it was too low.
There are some good people out there. There are some good people out there.
Yeah, she didn't go so far as to tell me it was too low, but she did encourage me to spend a little bit more time doing research for my role. And so that's like one shout out I have. Another one is the company I was working for shifted over time. And in that shift, some salaries of people who came in much later were significantly, I'm talking 20, 30, $35,000 more a year for people at a similar level. And so there was a significant gap. And I had a manager who saw that I was underpaid, fought, even though he's an interim manager for me, he fought for me to have my pay increased to be more in line with what the company was currently paying, without an expectation of promotion or anything like that, just getting me up to, within the current banding the company had, since I had been a tenured employee. And so it's folks like that who really make a difference in your career trajectory, because sometimes you just don't know, and what you don't know does hurt you. So in this case, so that's something I wanted to call out. And then I think the third thing is that, yeah, exactly. Like I will never forget that. But I think like the third thing is, if you are a PM and you're working for a global company, a lot of times the pay, there's like different approaches that you see, right? Some people pay differently based on region. I personally hate that. I think if I'm expected to do a job with a set of expectations, where I live should be a very small portion of how it determines I get paid. That should be really based on experience and scope of the role, more so. So when you're looking at companies, especially if you work for a large global company, you want to take a look at your specific country, because there are different things to consider, right? So if you're coming from anywhere else in the world to the US, you want to be aware of things like health insurance and what that's like to navigate. And so definitely use networks and communities that you're a part of to understand if an offer is good or not. Because especially if you're taking an opportunity that allows you to move globally, you want to make sure that you're getting set up for success in that move, and that's going to be a good thing for you, and not something where there's all these things that you didn't even know to think about or question in the offer stage. So do your research, pay attention to global numbers. And if you're looking at something like Glassdoor, make sure you're looking at your location, your area, and industry.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Great points. And guys, we are short on time, but we have really great questions from the audience. So what do you say? Can we go just like spend 2 extra minutes for answering the questions? I got a yes from Ashley, a yes from Liad, and yes from our team. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So Dan is asking, how do you cleverly deal with the salary expectation question in the very early stage of interviewing? We answered that one. And can you answer that the salary expectation questions at the beginning without saying a number? You already heard from the guys here about mentioning a number, both on the legal aspect of that and also on the personal aspect of that. Stefan is here joining us saying, my experience has been with recruiters in the beginning of the process. Just want to know if you're in the budget range or not. Is this the case? What do you think? I think that actually this is one of the things that Martin mentioned earlier. We know that HR people are sort of like the gatekeepers, more of a middleman. They are there to do the job of understanding whether, I'm going to say it very bluntly, please forgive me in advance, whether you are worth the time that the hiring manager is going to invest in the interview with you. Okay, so I'm sorry to say it like very bluntly, but this is the truth. This is what the HR person is there to do. One of the aspects of that is not just whether you have the right experience or the right mindset. It's also whether you're in the range of the salary. We discussed that, but thank you very much, Stefan, for pointing this out. Ron is asking, hey, welcome back. A mentee with us previously, for 2 times mentee with us. Thank you so much, Iran, for joining us. Is asking, can you use the cost saving of not going through external recruitment or hiring cost of interviews as a bargaining tool for negotiating a salary. I'm eager to understand what you guys think about it, but I think that it's like too long or deep in the process for you to use this as an advantage, because the process has already started. Now you don't really know that Iran, if the company is using a recruiter or not. Maybe they're not using a recruiter with you because you got to be referred by another employee, but this does not mean that they're not using a recruiting firm or something like that. Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Ronnie is saying, assuming I know that I arrived to this negotiation without a recruiter, okay, just because of referral, or I directly know someone in the company and I approached it. I don't think the company recruiting is even counting this, because there is this one-time saving will multiply for the long run with your the salary you're asking. So I'm looking for the long run. I'm not looking to save that commission to the recruiter. I'm looking at a few years of your salary with us. So it's not really, what you can do is maybe negotiate for signing bonus, for example, which is something which is very, very common. I never got it, I have to admit, but I know that it's common in some companies and in some countries. And this is something you can say, okay, you're not willing to raise my salary, but I need, in order to move a house, or I need to move to a different town for this job, I would need a sign-up bonus.
Interesting.
I think,
yes.
I think the only thing I would say here is if this is about like an internal promotion, so like there's a JD going out, you're an internal candidate, you might have more leverage there. But again, it's really unfair. Companies have a lot more budget for new hires, generally set aside, I think it's backwards personally, than they do for existing employees. And so you want to be mindful. I would really just research the salary and have a good expectation. The argument should have kind of already been made, I think, throughout the interview process.
Yep, I agree with you. Thank you so much. Dan is here back with an interesting question asking, is it possible to negotiate too much or on too many things? Like, what is like this silver unseen line where it's like, it's okay, I'm not too demanding? Liat, what do you think?
I think there is too many things. You shouldn't annoy the other side as well. This is, again, win-win type of thing. So they should feel that you got what you wanted, but you're not too much pushy on one more thing and one more thing and another thing. You should come prepared with your expectations in all the aspects. And again, as we said before, start with the base salary, then go to other things that are important to you. If you don't agree or don't get exactly what you wanted on the base salary, and even if you do, pick the things that are most important for you, so you feel good about coming to this company, and let go of the other things. It's, again, as you said, a relationship for the long term. You will stay there. You might get these things later on. So don't be too pushy on too many things.
Absolutely. And as product managers do, prioritize. So
definitely.
Everything in life is product management. I'm sorry for someone like myself, but everything in life is product management. So prioritize, start with the big things, those that are important for you, for your well-being, and then just move from there. I think we had a fantastic session. Of course, Martin, let us know your thoughts.
I have to say the last thing. No, just kidding. I just wanted to refer to one more point, although there were other webinar sessions about this, but just to touch one thing, which is how do you negotiate when you're already in the job and you want the promotion, okay? So this is just one tip, because all the other aspects that we already discussed are so relevant, but this is something I find very, very constructive and helpful. And it's coming not with a number, not saying, or yes, with a number, but not saying, hey, I've been working here for 2 years. This is what I've done. I've been so successful. I've increased all the KPIs I was responsible for, and now I want this number. Okay. Again, if you get a no, you're stuck, because then you need to act upon the no. You need to say either I'm leaving or I lost, right? So what I would suggest is to come to your manager and say, hey, I've been working here for 2 years. I've been doing this great job, which you can prove. And then say, my expectation is to get to this title with this salary. Could you please help me do a plan? How do I get there? Now, again, this is transferring the problem to them. Now they cannot say no. They can say, okay, let's build a plan. Let's build a roadmap for you to get there. And they will do the hard work for you to get the budget, to get, build the plan, and they will sell it to the HR, to their manager. So use them to help you.
Absolutely. And then you can also, test the mentoring skills of your manager and how good they are,
Exactly.
building you and your skills going forward. I had the best time. I had a blast having you on our stage here today. I think this was a very energetic and interesting session where you revealed some tips, tricks, and everything that our community, our leaguers, need to know ahead of their next salary negotiation. So thank you so much, Liat Mendesol Hondodoras. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, for joining us today. No, the only conclusion here is that you have to come again and again until I will pronounce your name correctly.
Happy to.
Fantastic. Ashley DeGianelli and Martin Sobak, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure. 3 excellent product managers, 3 excellent product league mentors that we are so proud to have you with us today, and in general, having you on board with us at the league. Thank you everyone for watching us. See you next time. And until then, go league it up. Bye-bye, leaguers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.